So going into the bigger trends of being an artist, why did you choose to remain independent of working through your own contracts and doing your own market strategies?
Independence is something that's always been really important to us, and independence has been tied to creative control. And it's going to sound super cheesy, but like control of our destiny. So creative control on the first point, creative control is we get to decide what the music sounds like, what the art looks like, what the videos look like, everything that makes up the kind of creative side of the music. So that's one really great thing about being independent. The other great thing about being independent is you get to decide the whole business side of everything, including the marketing strategy, the touring strategy, the publicity strategy, the radio strategy. And every time we've had a release, it's gotten big in a different way. We got really big on Spotify. I'm Ready got really big on Sirius XM, some on alternative radio. For some reason, Bang now is really big on Amazon and Pandora, which is great. I mean, the new audience is finding out about us. A lot of major labels wouldn't necessarily put the time and energy if there wasn't an immediate reaction to a song. They'll send the song to radio, and if it's not blowing up, then they'll move on to something else because it's not worth their time and their money. They'll send a song to Spotify, and if it doesn't get 50 playlists out of the gate, then they'll just move on to something else. Independence allows you to keep working on something for a longer period of time, especially if you believe in it. And that's something that our manager, Steve Greenberg, has definitely instilled in us, that when you believe in something, if you believe that it is a hit, you're going to keep working for it. He worked on Who Let the Dogs Out, the song, and he shopped it around to so many different people, and everyone said, "You're crazy. This is insane. This is never going to work." And so he put it out, and obviously it was one of the biggest hits ever.
Yeah.
So he has lived by that way of thinking and kind of instilled it in us too. Our song Bang, like, it was doing well. It wasn't doing amazing, but it was doing well, and we stuck with it, and now it's doing amazing.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
the time that you can dedicate to things is much, I wouldn't say it's easier. It's much better spent independently because you have yourselves and people that are really going to stick with it.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of being an independent artist, like, because the level of entry to producing music is so much lower today, where are artists spending most of their budget on?
I would say artists are spending most of their budget on marketing, but a lot of times artists don't know where to spend their budget on marketing. Artists will think, let's get a publicist and then they'll put us on every TV show. That's not how it happens. The song needs to get big, and then the TV bookers will want to have you on their show. They might think just, throw all your dollars into advertising on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook, if you're still choosing to advertise on Instagram and Facebook, especially over the last few months. But that's not necessarily the right approach either. Yes, advertising is necessary. Yes, publicity is necessary. Yes, social media is necessary. But it's only if you have the content that people are connecting with. And when I say content, I mean music, videos, interviews, across the board. If they can really connect to you as an artist, that's what's going to make it grow. So if you have a piece of content that fans are already starting to connect to, that's when you put your dollars into advertising and marketing. If you put it out there and your fans are, listening to it, but they're not really excited about it, your fans are your best gauge of what's going to be successful and what's not going to be successful. So I would say they are our best indicator of where we should be spending our marketing dollars.
Got it.
I know I didn't quite answer your question.
No, that makes sense though. That actually does. Good advice. So I guess one of the big underlying questions that we've been hitting throughout this interview, but wanted to put it in one big nutshell was, artists are constantly struggling with putting money into brand awareness and creative vision versus like maximizing profitability. How has AJR balanced those two forces, and how has that changed within different releases? I know we talked about that a little bit, but in general.
Yeah. I think that's why it's good that we've gone through and have always had some sort of distribution partner, whether it was Warner for a while, we were with Sony Red and they distributed, and now we're with BMG. It allows somebody on your team to keep an eye on profitability. And yes, within the three of us, it's been me that's been focused on that, making sure that, when we're touring, we're not losing money touring and putting out an album. We're not losing a ton of money putting out an album. But it's really important to have those people on your team that are focused on it. But no matter what, it's always been creative first for us. And we're not going to continue to be creative if at the expense of money. But we are going to be creative first. And however much money we can possibly spend on the creativity, we will. Because even if it's more than a traditional label will spend on creative pursuits, we know that the kind of outside the box thinking that we use has really resonated with fans and it's worked. People are much more hesitant at labels to do something left of center or outside the box. They say, okay, you put out a song, it needs to get to a few million streams on Spotify, then we'll take it to radio, then we'll make a video for it. And they have a checklist of things that make a hit song. But we've always been okay with putting money back into the company to try something new. Like I said, we're never going to go bankrupt doing that. Like, we're not going to keep putting money in, like good money after bad. It's about reading the room and having the balance on your team to give you the advice, to pull you back towards, a more financially responsible place, even if you're kind of jetting off in this creative, crazy direction. So I would say the answer is it's all about balance and having the people around you that can keep you in the right financial and business space.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. And so our last question, wrapping this up, is even with COVID and everyone's at home, if you have any advice for how artists can continue to adapt and progress their brand and music?
Definitely. COVID has been horrible for the music industry, especially the touring industry. There are so many people who make their living from live music. And I know Live Nation and the Grammy Foundation and a lot of other places have helped raise money for people who spend their life out on the road, from, people at front of house, lighting designers, crew people, even merchandising people. It's really, really tough. There are a few companies that have started that do really high quality live stream shows now, where you pay you pay for a ticket, you're standing in the audience, a virtual audience with other people. You can talk to other people in the audience. You can have a quasi live experience. I recommend doing as many of those as possible, because staying in touch with your fans is the number one most important thing. Continuing to give them hope and excitement and potentially a distraction and entertainment. That's the way that we're going to get through this. And I feel like that's art's responsibility during this time. It's to be a mix between highlighting these issues that are going on in our world and a distraction from the world around us. So if you can strike that balance with your content, whether it's audio or video or live streams or whatever, that I feel is the artist's responsibility.